you look at that game last Monday night. Now, I love that game. I like
too.
I like defense. I like physicality. But then you see, when you watch the game, the commentators, you go online on Twitter, and you see guys, the analysts talking this week, that it was a bad look for the NFL, that it was too violent, that there was too many shots to the head. It just wasn't a good look for them. Now, I know you're an old school guy. I'm younger, but I'm still an old school guy when it comes to that mentality. What's your take on all that?
Gosh, I mean, we could talk forever on that.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, listen, all of you out there, I mean, I know we've got some intelligent listeners out there, but football is a violent game, okay? Now,
correct.
There's no way to get around that, all right? There's no, if you want to take the violence out of football, just play flag football,
yes.
Okay? That's it. I mean, you can't play the game of football and take the hits out. You can't. I mean, I played linebacker. You played football. Our producer played linebacker. You cannot play the game of football and say, "Oh, I'm not going to hit this guy," or
yeah.
I'm gonna take a little bit off because if you do that, one of two things is going to happen. Either you're going to miss the tackle, all right, or you're going to get hurt.
Right.
Okay. So that's the nature of the football game. Now, the Steelers-Bengals game, I thought, was a well-played football game.
Right.
And, you had some pretty significant hits in that game, but that is the game of football. We talked a little bit about this before we did the podcast, okay? Take the hit last Monday night on Antonio Brown in the end zone when he caught that last touchdown pass, okay? And they hit him, the key there is, given the rules of what's a catch and what's not a catch, you have to control the football in the end zone all the way down to the ground through the end of the catch. So if you're a defender, what are you going to do?
You're going to try to knock the ball loose.
Exactly. And you're going to do everything you can to knock the ball loose. So if you're the NFL and you want to take these violent hits out of the game in the end zone, change the rule of what a catch is. As soon as a receiver controls the ball in the end zone, it's a catch. That way, if the guy hits him, it's not going to do any good to hit him because he's already got the touchdown.
Right.
Okay. But under the current rules, a defender is going to do everything he can to dislodge that receiver from the football.
Right.
And again, I mean, if you're so concerned about violent hits, how come it's okay to hit a running back in the helmet? How come it's okay to hit him any way you choose to hit him, but it's not okay to hit a receiver or a quarterback? I mean, I just don't like the way the game is going. And the second thing I'll say, since you asked me my take on all that, is these media people, all right, who are talking about, it's not a good look for the game, all right? And what was it we were talking about that they won't even show? You can't even find those highlights of those hits anywhere, okay?
Yeah.
But they're real quick to show every Sunday. They pan the sidelines very long before the game to show you all the guys that are kneeling on the national anthem, okay? Well, to me, that's a bad look for the game, all right? Stop showing that. Showing the hits is not a bad look for the game.
Right.
I guarantee you, if you polled NFL fans out there, 99% of them want to see that kind of stuff. They want to see the game played the way it's supposed to be played.
Right.
They don't want to see guys kneeling on the sideline before the game at the national anthem.
I would agree with that too. But going back to what you talked about with the DBs dislodging the ball, that kind of play from the DBs, like you said, trying to dislodge the ball or just imposing their will is really the only thing they have left. I mean, they've taken so much of they've given so much of the advantage to the offense now that there's not a lot left. Like, I kind of joke around, like if the NFL, and I'm serious, if the NFL were to name me commissioner tomorrow, the first thing I would do is reset the defensive rules to 1973. And that means everything. The way you cover receivers, the way you can hit the quarterback. I'm not talking about blatant cheap shots, that you go out of your way to hurt somebody. I'm just talking about let the defense play, let them be physical. Like that's part of it, being intimidating the offense. And I'm personally okay with seeing a 10-10 game in the fourth quarter or something like that, where it's just a defensive battle. And I know a lot of the fans may not like that. They like the 34 games and passing and all this stuff. But I just think that's part of football. And like you said, the more and more they favor the offense, I think you just put the defense at a disadvantage, and guys get frustrated, and that leads to personal foul penalties, and it's just I just don't like it the way that things are going in terms of just giving the advantage to the offense.
And I think you touched on a really good point right there, that guys get frustrated. I mean, you're exactly right. Defenders cannot do anything. They can't touch a receiver. I mean, they can't put their hand on their shoulder. They can't touch a quarterback. I mean, they can't get anywhere near him.
Tonight's game, it was oh my goodness. I forget the guy's name. D lineman for the Saints. He pushed Matt Ryan. He just pushed him, and it was very minuscule. And of course, Matt Ryan fell over, and they threw called roughing the passer. Just by definition, he did not rough the passer. He just pushed him over a little bit.
Right.
That stuff is ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. And in all fairness to Cam Newton, they get away with stuff on Cam Newton more than they do on anybody else.
Right.
So I mean, if you're gonna, why? Because he's bigger and stronger. I mean, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I don't agree with that at all. All right? And really, you know, I've heard many NFL. I mean, you can argue all day long about concussions, and don't get me wrong, I'm not a proponent of concussions, okay? Because we know today that long-term blows to the head, you know, the more you have, the higher chance there is of problems later in life, okay? But when I played the game of football, I mean, by the definition today of what a concussion is, I probably had 10 to 12 concussions. And back then it was like, oh, you're okay. You just got your bell rung, get back in the game. And if you talk to most of the NFL players, they'll tell you, if you're going to hit me in the head.
Absolutely.
Don't take my knees out. Yeah. Because if you take my knees out, you take my career out immediately. Right. So these guys know what they're going. They know what they're dealing with. Okay. They understand what's going on. All right. So I don't understand all this, you know, trying to take football out of football. If you do, you're going to kill the goose that laid the golden egg, and before you know it, you know, we're going to have a bunch of pansies playing the game.
Last point. I think that I don't think the NFL and the league disagrees with the way the football is played. It's an image thing. You know, they want to make it look like they care about the health of the players and all this and that. But then again, it's that image, and we've talked about this, the image of physicality that made football popular in the first place.
Exactly.
Back in the 60s, 70s, there was no other sport like it. You know, you hear the comparison, it's the modern day gladiators, which it kind of is. I mean, that's what fans wanted to see. That's what made it popular, the hitting, the physicality, and, you know, the image they're trying to portray, I think they're getting away from what originally drew fans to the game.
I agree with you. And really, I mean, I'm even willing to say that if you want to change, if you want to take some of this out of the game, do away with a Thursday night game before you start trying to change the game itself.
Yeah.
I mean, and I know they'll never do that.
That's a money thing now. Yeah.
Exactly. They'll never do that. So I mean, I would definitely do that before I would start figuring out that I'm going to try to take the physicality out of the game. And the Steelers and the Bengals, you know, you're going to get certain teams that it's always going to be more of a physical game. It always is. Right. I mean, that's just the nature of the rivalry. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
They asked Roethlisberger after the game, like right after on the field, like what was his thoughts on the game, and he said it was AFC North football, which, you know, he's right. I mean, then when they play the Steelers and when they play the Bengals and the Ravens, it's going to be like that.
Exactly. I mean, it's like when the Steelers used to play the Raiders back in the 70s. I mean, you know, when the Bears used to play the Packers. I mean, that's just the nature. When you play a team twice a year, every year, and you have guys that have been in the league for 9 and 10 years, you're going to develop that kind of rivalry.
Yeah.